Why are there not more people talking about the true horror behind Jack the Ripper? The year is 1888. London, a city of contrasts. Gaslight illuminates grand avenues, but darkness clings to the East End. Here, poverty thrives, life is cheap, fear is a constant companion, and now terror has a name, Jack the Ripper. Word spreads quickly through the crowded streets and dingy alleys. A killer stalks women. He chooses his victims from the most vulnerable, the women of Whitechapel. They sell their bodies to survive. He takes their lives with brutal efficiency. Panic grips the East End. Whispers turn to screams. The police search, but Jack remains elusive. He is a phantom, a nightmare made flesh. He is the monster lurking in the shadows, and no one is safe. The city holds its breath. Will they catch him before he strikes again, or will Jack the Ripper forever haunt the cobblestones of Whitechapel? The mystery of Jack the Ripper is as thick as the fog that often blankets London. He was never caught, his true identity lost to time. He exists as a chilling question mark, a symbol of fear and the unknown. Over the years, theories have abounded. Was he a doctor? His knowledge of anatomy evident in the gruesome mutilations? Was he a butcher, accustomed to the sight and smell of blood? Or was he someone hiding in plain sight, a respectable gentleman by day and a monster by night? Names have been put forward as suspects. Montague Druitt, a troubled barrister. Aaron Kosminski, a Polish immigrant haunted by paranoia. Michael Ostrog, a Russian doctor with a violent past. The list goes on, each name adding another layer to the enigma. But the truth remains elusive. The evidence is a tangle of dead ends and tantalizing clues. Jack the Ripper, the bogeyman of Whitechapel, remains an unsolved riddle, his shadow looming large over history. The victims of Jack the Ripper are often lumped together, their individual stories lost in the shadow of his infamy. They are known as the canonical five: Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly. For too long, these women have been defined solely by their deaths, their lives reduced to a single horrific moment. They have been labeled as just prostitutes, their humanity stripped away by the brutality of their murders and the passage of time. But they were so much more than that. They were daughters, wives, mothers. They were individuals with hopes, dreams, and struggles. They were victims, yes, but victims of circumstance as much as of Jack the Ripper. To truly understand the tragedy of the Whitechapel murders, we must look beyond the sensationalized headlines and see these women for who they truly were. We must give them back their voices, their stories, and their dignity. Mary Ann Nichols, known as Polly to those who knew her, was the first to fall victim to Jack the Ripper's reign of terror. Born in 1845, Polly's life was marked by hardship and instability. She had known poverty, struggled with alcoholism, and endured an unhappy marriage. Polly found herself on the streets of Whitechapel, forced to sell her body to survive. It was a desperate existence, but she clung to the hope of a better life. She dreamed of escaping the slums, of finding a steady job, of reuniting with her children. But on the night of August 31st, 1888, Polly's dreams were brutally cut short. Her body was found in Bucks Row, her throat slashed, her abdomen mutilated. She was 43 years old. Polly's murder sent shockwaves through Whitechapel. The brutality of the crime, the audacity of the killer, the vulnerability of the victim. It all combined to create a palpable atmosphere of fear. Jack the Ripper had arrived, and no one was safe. Section 5, Annie Chapman struggling to survive. Annie Chapman's life was a constant struggle for survival. Born in 1841, she had known both love and loss, marriage and separation, sobriety and addiction. She had worked hard to provide for her children, but poverty and misfortune seemed to follow her like a shadow. By the time she arrived in Whitechapel, Annie was desperate. She was ill, she was homeless, and she was forced to sell her body to afford a bed in a common lodging house. Despite her hardships, she remained a proud woman, known for her kindness and her gentle nature. On September 8, 1888, just 8 days after Polly Nichols' murder, Annie's body was found in the backyard of a tenement house on Hanbury Street. She had been brutally murdered, her throat slashed, her abdomen mutilated. She was 47 years old. Annie's murder intensified the fear gripping Whitechapel. Jack the Ripper had struck again, and his reign of terror was far from over. Section 6, Elizabeth Stride, A Fateful Night. Elizabeth Stride, known as Long Liz due to her tall stature, was a Swedish immigrant who had come to London seeking a better life. Born in 1843, she had worked as a domestic servant and had even run her own coffee shop before falling on hard times. By 1888, Elizabeth was living in poverty in Whitechapel, relying on charity and occasional sex work to survive. Despite her circumstances, she was known for her strong work ethic and her determination to make a decent life for herself. On the night of September 30th, 1888, Elizabeth's life was tragically cut short. Her body was found in Dutfield's yard, her throat slashed. Unlike the previous victims, she had not been mutilated, leading some to believe that the killer had been interrupted during the attack. She was 45 years old. Elizabeth's murder, coming just hours before another gruesome discovery, plunged Whitechapel into further terror. Jack the Ripper was still on the loose, and his bloodlust seemed to be escalating. Section 7, Catherine Eddowes, Lost in the Shadows. Catherine Eddowes, known as Kate to her friends, was a woman who had known more than her fair share of hardship. Born in 1842, she had battled alcoholism, endured abusive relationships, and struggled to make ends meet. Despite her challenges, Kate was known for her quick wit and her independent spirit. She was a familiar face in the pubs and lodging houses of Whitechapel, where she sought companionship and a temporary escape from the harsh realities of her life. On the same night as Elizabeth Stride's murder, just 45 minutes later, Kate's mutilated body was found in Mitre Square. She was 46 years old. The brutality of her murder shocked even the most hardened police officers. The double murder sent a chill through London. Jack the Ripper was mocking the police, defying them to stop him. He had become a phantom, slipping through their fingers, leaving a trail of blood and terror in his wake. Section 8. Mary Jane Kelly, the final victim. Mary Jane Kelly was the youngest of Jack the Ripper's canonical victims, and her murder was the most brutal. Born in Ireland in 1863, she'd come to London seeking a better life, but like so many others, she'd fallen victim to the poverty and desperation of Whitechapel. Mary Jane was known for her beauty, her kindness, and her tragic story. She had lost a child, endured abusive relationships, and turned to sex work to survive. Despite the harshness of her life, she clung to the hope of a brighter future. On November 9, 1888, Mary Jane's mutilated body was found in her one-room lodging on Miller's Court. She was 25 years old. The gruesomeness of the crime, the intimacy of the setting, and the youth of the victim sent shockwaves through London and beyond. Mary Jane's murder marked the end of Jack the Ripper's reign of terror. He vanished as quickly as he had appeared, leaving behind a legacy of fear, mystery, and unanswered questions. Section 9. The investigation. A race against time. From the moment Polly Nichols' body was discovered, the police were engaged in a desperate race against time to catch Jack the Ripper. The pressure was immense. The eyes of the world were on Whitechapel, and the reputation of the Metropolitan Police was on the line. Hundreds of officers were deployed to the East End, interviewing witnesses, searching for clues, and patrolling the streets. They chased down countless leads, questioned suspects, and analysed evidence, but Jack the Ripper always seemed to be one step ahead. He moved like a ghost through the dark alleys and crowded streets of Whitechapel, leaving a trail of bloodshed and terror in his wake. Despite their best efforts, the police were unable to apprehend the killer. The investigation was plagued by dead ends, false leads, and the fog of fear and speculation that hung over Whitechapel. Section 10. Legacy of Fear. Jack's grip on history. Jack the Ripper may have vanished into the fog of Victorian London, but his shadow continues to loom large over history. He has become a macabre legend, a symbol of the dark underbelly of Victorian society and a source of endless fascination. The mystery of his identity, the brutality of his crimes, and the impotence of the police have all contributed to his enduring infamy. He has inspired countless books, films, documentaries, and works of art, each attempting to unravel the enigma of Jack the Ripper. But perhaps the most lasting legacy of Jack the Ripper is the reminder that even in the brightest of cities, darkness can lurk in the shadows. He is a chilling example of the vulnerability of the marginalized, the power of fear, and the enduring allure of the unsolved. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the mysteries of Jack the Ripper, make sure to hit the like button, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe for more intriguing content. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss an update. Stay tuned for more episodes uncovering the world's most baffling mysteries. Thanks for watching, and see you in the